In 1954, Carmen Jones was released to theaters. This was an adaptation of the Broadway play that came out 11 years earlier, and this film featured Harry Belafonte and Dorothy Dandridge. Surprisingly, this film was well received, and for Dandridge, she became the first African American woman to be nominated for Best Actress in a Leading Role at the Oscars. And what's funny, Halle Berry portrayed her in a film about her life, and Halle will become the first, and so far only, African American actress to win the award. Outside of that, Carmen Jones is deemed a significant film in Black history. No. History in general. It will later be inducted to the Library of Congress, and today, for Black History Month, we're going to take a look at this important piece of Hollywood. Before we begin, if you want to see music bios or more good videos like this, hit the subscribe button. Also, I've started a Patreon account. On here you get more copyrighted material, and they'll be uploaded 48 hours prior to YouTube. If you want to support or visit, link is in the description. And without further ado, on to our feature presentation. Before we begin, I just want to ask this question. What happened to the credits being placed in the beginning of the film? I'm just curious. But anyway, the film begins with Cindy Lou wanting to pay a visit to Corporal Joe at a parachute factory in World War II. Cindy Lou is trying to get into the base but is unable to. And let me just say, is it kind of odd that a group of kids just appear out of nowhere and singing so joyously? Luckily, Joe is here to save the day and gets her end and is responsible for her. In the cafeteria, Carmen Jones makes her appearance. She immediately catches the eye of Joe while she sings her version of Habanera. Now let me also mention this. Dorothy Dandridge and Harry Belafonte were good trained singers, but this movie did not use their actual voices. Because they wanted this movie to have an operatic feel, they used trained opera singers to dub over. She flirts with Joe while Cindy Lou is present. Talk about confidence. And after this, Joe and Cindy Lou decided to get married while he's on 24 hours leave. Just then, Carmen gets into a fight with one of her co-workers after she reported Carmen late yet again. Joe, who was off duty, is ordered to take Carmen to Masonville to have her arrested for destruction of government property, and again, everyone is so joyous that she's going to jail. Carmen Jones is going to jail. Carmen Jones is going to jail. Carmen's gotta stay in jail. Sit all day on Carmen. Throughout the ride, Carmen tries to flirt with Joe. Joe gets tired of Carmen's wooing and tries to take a shortcut, and all this leads him to ruin his Jeep and when he tries to drive over an unstable bridge. Carmen suggests Joe to take her to a nearby town to get them something to eat, and they'll continue their journey the next day. All this is Carmen's plan to seduce Joe, and he folds like grandma on laundry day. But the next morning, Joe is awakened with the letter that she fled as she could not stand being locked up in prison. The army guys gets him, and Joe is demoted from corporal to private. During visitation, Cindy Lou visits him, and during their visit, Joe gets a package from Carmen. He finds out that she fled to New Orleans and took a job. Wonder what Carmen did to Joe because he seemed to can't get Carmen out of his mind. At the nightclub, we meet two of her friends, Frankie and Mert. And Frankie tells everyone to feel the rhythm of the beat of the drum. And I believe she's the only one in this movie that didn't have a dub. Beat out that rhythm on the drum. Beat out that rhythm on the drum. They get interrupted by famous Chicago boxer Husky Miller. He tried to shoot his shot at Carmen but lost on decision. Husky and his manager offers her and her friends the lavish life and go to Chicago with him. Either this or a manager will become his former manager. And she still said no. Joe then shows up and updates Carmen that he got reinstated and must report to flying school. Way to kill the mood. She offers him to go to Chicago, but he turns it down as he has to go to flying school.
Understood. I can't stay or go with you. I gotta report right back to the base.
What?
I gotta get that bus leaving for flying school. Captain Haldeal, my CO.
Sergeant Brown shows up and mocks Joe. Brown F's around and finds out, and Joe pieces him up. Joe realized that he struck a superior and now faces 4 years in the clink, and that's when he decides to take Carmen's offer and go AWOL to Chicago. Because Joe went AWOL, he's now a wanted man. He and Carmen are struggling to get it together at a rent house. Carmen visits Husky's gym and asks for a loan, but she still refuses to accept Husky's advances and he cuts everyone off until he gets his prize in Carmen. You can't buy love, dude. Frankie urges Carmen to take both. She gives Carmen a piece of jewelry to pawn, and she uses it to buy groceries and a dress.
Hey, keep your soldier boy. But that don't mean you got to walk out on a private convertible, gold lace nightgown, oh, everything.
You know 2-time and ain't my speed.
When she shows back up to Joe, he questions her whereabouts and accuses her of cheating. She storms out and goes to Husky's hotel. Frankie and the girls play cards and tells Fortune about them. It's all fun and games until Carmen draws the 9 of spades. 9 of spades meaning impending doom for Carmen.
The 9 of spades.
Carmen decides to live life to the fullest and finally caves into Husky's courting. Cindy Lou shows up to Chicago in search of Carmen, but mostly for Joe because Carmen knows where he is. But she's not the only one in search of Joe. The army guys are in search of him too, but luckily for Joe, he escaped and is able to elude the army guys. Joe catches up with Husky and asks Carmen why he left him. He calls her a lady, and that's lead to Husky to piece him up. Carmen helps Joe escape just before the army guys come to get him. Carmen then tells Cindy Lou to go home, and Cindy realized that it was foolish of her to chase after a man who cheated and doesn't even love her anymore. Husky is participating in a boxing match. He gets off to a slow start but eventually takes a win on the second round knockout. Upon celebrating, Joe traps Carmen in a utility closet. Joe wants one more shot at Carmen, but Carmen rather be killed than to be with Joe, and that's exactly what Joe does. Carmen dies from strangulation by Joe. A janitor was the lone witness to the crime and alerts the army guys to get Joe. Joe is arrested by the army guys for murder and will likely die for his crimes. And to quote the legendary actor Bugs Bunny,
"Well, what did you expect in an opera? A happy ending?"
This was another classic film to watch, but I do have many thoughts, and even in the 50s, people were messy. To start off with Husky, he was willing to do anything to get Carmen on his side, offer her lavish things, all this so she can be his, but you can't buy love, dude. And for Joe, 1 hour just changed his entire life. All he had to do was take Carmen to jail, return to base, and marry Cindy Lou. Instead, he gets hypnotized by the lust of Carmen Jones. I don't know what spell Carmen put on Joe, but he never wanted to lose her. He decided to go AWOL for her, and for what? He lost the girl. And Carmen is someone who doesn't have any stability for herself. You can't keep her cooped up in just one place, as she played Joe like a fiddle, but all this because she doesn't want to go to jail. As for the movie itself, I do have one criticism, and that's the dubbing. I wish they would have let Dorothy and Harry sing as they are trained singers. They let Pearl Bailey sing, why not the leads? But overall, this film is pretty good. Yes, I am fully aware of the 2001 remake and will be reviewing that next. But if you haven't watched this film, please check it out, even if it's a little dated, as it is an important piece of African American film. And that concludes the Carmen Jones recap. Tell me what y'all think in the comments below. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.